Good morning, friends. My my question today is: was Bucky Fuller a cold warrior? Because sometimes that question comes up. Sometimes people say yes, people say no. And the question is, what does it even mean, cold warrior? I'd say, for one thing, the answer is yes.
In 1956, the United States Department of Commerce was notified by the State Department that the British had found that in Kabul, Afghanistan, that the Russians and the Chinese and the Czechs and East Germans were spending a very large amount of money getting ready for a big exhibition at the Chechen Fair of Afghanistan, which is their great annual festival.
Um, he believed in keeping war cold, which means psychological, more like a computer game with stakes, right? I mean, you've got skin in the game, but we're smart enough to not go for outward violence, as the Quakers say. That's kind of like a cutoff. Any species that goes that route is kind of too stupid to live, kind of thing. We get the Darwin Award, if you know what that is. Hey, today's been kind of crazy because Mom, speaking of Cold War, is trying to get her statement to the Oregon legislature by deadline. I think we just got it in. I think we squeaked in under the wire with help from Physicians for Social Responsibility of Oregon. This is Oregon passing a resolution, we hope, to encourage the federal government, such as it is, to pass its resolution in favor of the ban treaty. That's the UN ban treaty on nuclear weapons. Of course, we all know that the Grunch is schizophrenic, and the slow half, the Doomkoffs, whatever we call them, I don't know.
And as a consequence, they fell in love with the dome. The exhibit inside was inconsequential. It was bouncing ball bearings and talking cow and things. And people didn't pay attention to that, but more than a quarter, more than the total inhabitants of Kabul showed up for the exhibit, and it became by far the most popular item in the fair, and way outperformed the Russians and the Chinese.
There's a lot of people who want nuclear war because they spend a lot of money on bunkers, and they've got like 75 years supply. They've got an indoor swimming pool. There aren't that many people with those bunkers, but those that have them might feel a little foolish if they don't get their war. So there's a lot of pressure to start a nuclear war every day. It's like a constant drumbeat. And I know Fuller was not hoping for that. So if a cold warrior means you're hoping for a hot war, no, that's not true. But he also saw, in the long term, he didn't, think the nation state system would always be with us. So in a way, you could say, he wasn't on the side of any particular loser, because the nation states that we would consider battling for the future of the earth somehow in some tawdry melodrama, those would be fading soon. He wasn't really a communist. He didn't believe in sort of the Marxist reasons for the withering of the state, but he did believe in the withering of the state, and he thought that, by the end of his life, the so-called United States was so desperately weak in terms of being overrun by hotheads that he really didn't see much future in it. You can read more about that in Grunch of Giants, but for him that wasn't a huge deal because he saw that coming for years. It wasn't like the end of the world, it was the end of an archaeological layer in human thinking, right? So now we're post-nation state, even today. Now you look around, you don't think that, but people knew the Roman Empire was over right when we say it ended. No, that's not the case. People thought the Roman Empire went on till 800 AD, Charlemagne. Actually, some people still live that fantasy today. So these so-called empires, British and so on, they don't just suddenly wake up one morning and they're gone. It's like people have those conditioned reflexes and take them to the grave, really. You don't expect people to reprogram midlife. So, we have believers, and it'll take some time for those to flush through the system, as we say. Anyway, we have a great theme park, a wonderful planet with wonderful cultures, and I'm not that worried about it. I think mostly we didn't fail. We're still here, and the losers can take their winnings. Anyway, in the background, I've been showing stuff about Bucky and his Kabul dome, and the height of the Cold War. That's when America was really winning, and with Fuller, right? So those were the golden days. And then later, it kind of all fell apart, and the nations kind of faded. But that's another chapter. That's a later chapter. So we'll talk to you again. Bye bye.